In some parts of our country, this is the best of times. The economy is booming. But in small towns and country places across the heartland, millions of rural Americans aren't part of this picture. They work hard, they follow the rules, but they can't afford decent homes. They can't finance their farms and businesses. They can't get jobs that lift their families out of poverty. And some don't even have the basic services most people take for granted. The good news is there is a quiet revolution going on. It's led by homegrown groups known as community development organizations. There are more than 1,600 of these groups working in rural America to create opportunities. Opportunities for people who are ready and eager to work for their chance at the American dream. Some of these groups are 30 years old, some are new. But they're all led by optimists, people who believe in hard work, people helping themselves, neighbors looking out for each other. And they're all proud of their home communities and proud to be part of America.
You know, people are really tied to the land and they're tied to the natural resources, whether it's to fishing for generations or whether it's to creating wealth as sugarcane workers for generations. And so it's a rootedness. It's really, I think, a spiritual sense of connectedness to the earth here and to family.
My brother Robert and I are sixth-generation farmers on some of this land that was owned by our ancestors. And Rob Jr., Jim, Brady, Mike, David are generation 7, so we've been here a long time.
To me, the family farm is the reason this country's been so successful up to date. Us as a family operation, you know, we take pride in the fact that we know if we don't treat the land right, in the end it's going to let us down, okay? So we consider ourselves to be good stewards, not necessarily by choice, but by necessity. You know, we realize what it takes. One thing I got to say about Southern Mutual Help is the fact that I like the approach they take in helping people. You know, they don't just give fish away. They teach people how to catch them. We all want a better community. You know, a good, safe, healthy environment, a place where our kids can grow up and hopefully stay in a rural community instead of moving to the big cities. And you know, we're small fish in a big sea, but we do our best, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. Southern Mutual has always looked at people as the strongest assets in their community. And so once people begin to understand their own strength and what they have between them and within them, then they begin to make things change. And then we let that be seen. And that gives not only the people in the community courage, but it really attracts investments.
Iberia Bank felt it had an obligation to people that lived in the area. Secondly, the people at Southern Mutual Help Association were very persuasive and very well-versed in what they were doing, and we felt like if they stayed in it with us, that it would succeed.
This is the promissory note for the Iberia Bank loan. This is the note that obligates you to pay them back the money that they're going to lend you.
This is kind of a big day in your
Yeah,
life.
but she gonna cry. I'm too happy to cry.
I think when you combine, you know, money capital with human and social capital, you have a formula that really works. And so it's good investment. It's good for America.
Giving money is easy to do. It's making it work and getting some positive results from it is the hard part.
So I wanted to congratulate you. Can I give you a hug?
Thank you. That's right. That's all done. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm so proud.
And my kids, they're so happy. They can't wait. They already have their plans for what they're gonna do. So, but yeah, I'm very happy. I know she is too.
Who?
You.
So happy. If I had wings, I'd fly.
Oh.
If you get a good partner like Southern Mutual Help was, a good nonprofit agency who's willing to invest the time, any bank in the country, any place in the country could duplicate this and have success of it.
The new Bank of America has made a sizable commitment, $10 billion over 10 years, to rural community development. And the belief of our management is that improving the quality of people's lives is good business. Making a difference is very important.
To most of us, Maine is lobsters and picturesque lighthouses on postcards. With the help of coastal enterprises, rural Maine is where people are reinventing their economy.
I lobstered with my grandfather, who was a fisherman, and one of the things that I decided, if I was going to work for 40, 50 years of my life, I was going to do something I enjoy, you know, and I always enjoyed it, and I thought as long as I could make a living at it, you know, then why not, you know, go ahead and bite the bullet. There's times I think it's the best thing in the world. There's other times when the wind blows and I don't get out for a month and the bills stack up that, you know, I begin to think, well, geez, maybe I should have been an iron worker or a steel worker or something. But no, I love it. It's, you know, it's a good, clean way of life. You work outside, you know. I mean, I've got the best view in the whole world, and I can get up and I enjoy going to work.
We organized Coastal Enterprises to try to bring resources to bear upon small farmers, small business people, people who had ideas, who, but with just for a lack of some resources, could not or would get the business off the ground.
I went through CEI when I went to finance my new boat. I'd sold my old boat, and I went and talked to them. They were very accommodating, very nice, excellent people to do business with.
Well, CEI has been a great resource for the farm. It's a source of advice and information. And they're one of the co-signers on the loan, which was a big help. You know, when we put together the business plan for the cows, we went and had them take a look at it and got their advice. And so it's good to have, you know, an experienced set of eyes looking at our plans. We'd like kids to gain an understanding of where their food comes from, the importance of buying from their local farms, and how that supports the economics of the community and the landscape.
The question here is, what are the assets and talents or potential in local communities? What can be unleashed? What value can be added? We're not talking about bringing in companies. We're not talking about importing labor. We're talking about working with what is here and maximizing that value.
The philosophy of Spindleworks, I think, involves primarily looking at all humans as equals and not looking at people for their weaknesses but for their strengths, and building on that. Making the assumption that all people want to do their best and do it well, and we go from there.
Perfect! Perfect!
They look at the person, they look at the community that they're lending money into, and the background and the history and what's going on, and they get involved in that aspect of it. And that's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed, you know, working with them. One of the things is, like I say, any bank will lend you any money. You know, I mean, I want to know who I'm dealing with. You know, I don't want to have somebody call me on the bank and say, geez, I don't know you. You know, but yet when I get a call from somebody at CEI and I know them and they, you know, hey, Proctor, how's it going? How's the fishing? And that means a lot to me.
In the California desert, rugged Riverside County spans 7,000 square miles. Agriculture and resorts like Palm Springs exist side by side. Here, the Coachella Valley Housing Coalition helps farm workers and service workers build better lives.
If you live in bad conditions, you feel like you're not good enough to own a house. You know, I drive by lots of beautiful houses and say, well, I'll never be able to afford that. Because, you know, low-income families have a hard time realizing that dream because they're very expensive to get into new houses. And when I moved to the apartment complex, it changed a lot of things, not just because of the housing. Of course, that's a big deal of having a beautiful house to live in, but it really changes your outlook on life about other things. You want to do better for yourself, so you start looking for better jobs, better schools. You want to do better for your kids.
We have many people who come to us, many people who built their houses through the self-help program come to us with poignant stories or strong meanings as to how this has changed their lives. People telling us that their life would not be what it is if it hadn't been for this program, that their kids have gone on to school, that for the first time in their lives they feel safe and secure where they live.
We did the tile, me and my husband did it, and another family. We were up there working on that, and we did that on about 5 houses, and then a couple other families took over. So we kind of shared the work. At first it was really hard because you have to, you know, put in all this time to do it. You know, it's just something you got to do if you want that, because nobody's going to give you anything for free. And now I realize that. Before I was just like, oh, why are they doing this to us? You know, but it's worth it.
We like to see our role as helping people get themselves involved in the community. We look forward to people who live in our houses, people who build homes in our self-help program, to get involved, to become citizens, to become voters, to get on city councils, get on boards. And we think that all the programs that we do work towards that end.
Well, I'm really thankful that they gave me a chance to live here, because if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I'd be right now.
There is no poorer place in America than the Mississippi Delta. But step by step, person by person, Quitman County Development Organization helps people build better lives for themselves and create more promising futures for their children.
I feel that an organization can have a grave impact if it get rid of self-centeredness and selfishness, and its effort is centered in moving a community. And ours has been to move this community.
In your daycare, okay.
There must be a few people that want change, and they must work for that change, in spite of opposition, and whether, you know, they got to stick to it.
We look at in our tutoring classes where there are children in the 1st grade or 3rd grade cannot read. So what we've done, we went into our daycare, we have a Miracle Read in daycare, and the small babies, we have a person that read to them. So they get used to people reading to them. And the larger kids, we teach them to read. So when they get to Head Start, kindergarten, 1st grade, they're already to where they need to be. And hopefully one day we might get some math into the program. We're trying to get kids prepared for the new millennium. You know, we're trying to get them prepared. Knowing somebody cares, and that's what I think is the whole thing. Kids got to know somebody that loves them, and they'll do better.
The only way we can go now, we have to do it in a spirit of togetherness, because we're at a point where if you can survive, I can survive. But it doesn't grow a town. So it's got to be coming together. Because the people left in Marksville, black and white, are people that are struggling to survive.
We need to put something in place for our kids to see like I can do it. Our kids figure that, you know, they look at TV and see all the ghettos and black kids are doing this and they can't make it. But we're saying you can make it, and you don't have to leave Quitman County. We can do anything we want to do.
In the mountains of West Virginia, coal mining has been one of the few options for people struggling to make a living. There, SAFE is helping people, especially women, break the chains of dependence and build new lives for themselves and their families.
When you look at the history, back in the 1950s, McDowell County had a population of over 100,000. When the coal industry pulled out and the major coal producers left, we were left with nothing. In 1993, we were approached by the McDowell County Board of Education superintendent, and because of loss of population in our county, there were going to be 3 schools that were closed. And he contacted us and he said, I think that you've really done a great job working with domestic violence victims. Would you be interested in obtaining one of these schools to open a domestic violence shelter? A person can live for up to 24 months. It's really been successful in a lot of other areas because you have a longer period to work with them rather than emergency shelter, which is normally 30 to 60 days. I saw really quickly and I said, you know, we can work with these women, we can focus on these women, but the children, that's where we can break the cycle, and that's where we can really do something preventive. We looked at after-school activities, tutoring activities, recreational activities, and a number of different services to focus specifically on the children.
And this is what I drew at my school, and it says Safe Hill, Paul's picture of Safe.
I was scared. Yeah, because I didn't know what I was bringing my children into. You know, you always hear such bad things about places like this. And this place was absolutely wonderful. I mean, right off the bat, they were so friendly. They set us up in our rooms and everything, showed us around, and got us on a schedule, and got the kids into another school because I'm in another area. And it was just real comfortable when I first got here.
There are so many challenges. And I feel like it's up to us as a group, and even though our primary focus has been domestic violence victims, and will always be domestic violence victims, we want to be the leader and take the next step.
In the fertile Sacramento Valley, low-paid farm workers labor long and hard to put fresh vegetables on our tables. Rooted in more than 30 churches, the Sacramento Valley organizing community helps neighbors help themselves.
Actually, this is my office in Walnut Grove. This is where I have my house meetings with the leaders. We sit here and we plan our strategies for the next things to come. I strongly believe, in the iron rule that we preach, never do for us what they can do for themselves. And we do that very firmly. When I first meet someone, that's one of the first things that I say, is that if you're looking for a charity or handout, this is not the right place for you. We don't do that. I will not be your voice. I will not be your hands. But I would help you, so you can speak for yourself and you can do for yourself.
El ser dueño de una casa en América lo hace a uno sentirse parte de América.
Like I said before, owning a home here in America makes you feel a part of America.
What really motivates me is when I see a family, okay, that may be living in an apartment, but then when I see that family going to their own home, and those kids, face light up, and they run in their room, and they're excited because they have their own home. Because I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it to see somebody else, get happy, or some family get blessed and realize that they can make it too.
It's our responsibility to own our communities, and make a difference. To try to work with agencies if possible, but a change has to occur. We're not afraid of fights. We actually kind of like them because it's exciting. Some of our greatest opponents have now become our strongest allies. SVLC is a collective work of many, many different people, very diverse in the 3 counties. They have made it happen. It's welfare recipients, migrant workers, single moms, and it's them. They're the ones who want, and people who are one time felt defenseless, useless, they are the ones who are SVLC.
People in rural America need to keep speaking up and making sure they're heard, both at the county level, at the state level, federal level, at financial institutions, foundations. The people in rural America need to organize themselves in a way where they have a voice in the larger America.
It's a miracle.
We knew each other.
We did know each other.
We knew each other. We just
Yeah.
had the same dream, the same heart, the same prayer, you know.
My bedrooms could be on this side, and
On this side, right?
yeah, on this side. At first, I couldn't believe it. I was scared to wake up. It might have been a dream.
Yeah.
It's so good to have good people to help. Because if it wouldn't be for good people, we'd be in bad shape. I really mean that.
Personally, it's very satisfying to see is people who really have almost lost hope that there's anything that can work for them in terms of making their hard work turn into something that will build the assets of their family. And this home ownership program and the partnerships that we're forming with banks is really very exciting because it takes that little glimmer of hope, and what it does is it brings it to a full blossom of hopefulness, and it becomes contagious.
It's like you're owning a piece of Louisiana, you know. You're owning some land, some of America.
You have a piece on that map.
You know that's your spot and it's yours and nobody can take it away from you. A piece of America, you know.
Like they say, on a piece of the rock?
Yeah. You feel now like a true Louisiana, you know.
Yes!
In America, we've always had the countryside to go home to. Wilderness, small towns, farms. We started there. The country started there. It's the wellspring of our values. Independence, hard work, fair play, neighbors helping each other. Community development groups are working to make and keep rural America that good place to live. They are working to preserve the America we value and want to hold on to for our children and our grandchildren. There's work to do, plenty of it, but we can all help. Get involved, invest, give your time and support. Rural America's home. It belongs to all of us.